Penn State was the number 2 ranked team in college football heading into 2025. They spent millions to bring back a talented core, arguably the most talented core in college football, that was motivated by this idea of unfinished business. That was all the chatter this whole offseason. The business was bringing a national championship trophy to Happy Valley, not just a Big Ten title. They were talking natty. The Nittany Lions spent another $3 million to make Jim Knowles, a man who won one of the trophies last year, the highest paid defensive coordinator in the sport. How did the worst college football team beat them? How did this happen? How did Penn State's defense give up 42 points to a team that only scored 57 in their last 4 games combined? How did the only team in FBS college football that didn't lead for a single second of the season do the impossible? How did UCLA become the first 4-0 or worse team to beat a top 10 opponent since 0-6 UTEP beat number 7 BYU 40 years ago? Let's dive into the tape to find out. It really comes down to 2 reasons. One, Jerry Neuheisel and his play calling. That's getting a ton of pub online, rightfully so. And then 2, this is going more niche. It's not just Nico Iamaleava. It's Nico Iamaleava's legs on 3rd down. And that is where I will start. I got a few clips for you guys, all on 3rd down. Started on the very first drive of the game. Check this out. 3 third downs in a row right here. This is the first drive of the game. Penn State, so much being made about their pass rushers, right? Deny Dennis Sutton. He's on the top of your screen here. He's going to come after the QB. But what sticks out, and this is the recipe all day for Penn State, they did not spy Nico Iamaleava. A spy is when you have one of these linebackers not allocated to coverage back here, but allocated to the quarterback, and making sure that if he does break through, that you have someone to stop the quarterback from picking up big gains. This was the case all day long. Penn State and 3rd and long, Nico's legs end up being the weapon. Check this out. Nico's going to leak through, picks up the yards. Nico's sneaky big now, too. He had a couple of these runs where you forget that he's like falling forward and he's a big dude. But now that you've seen that play, check this out. You got Sutton, number 1 pass rusher in the country. I guess Bain from Miami might have something to say about that now. But Penn State did this all day, where they'll rush Sutton upfield. UCLA's left tackle, dude's hanging on for dear life. But then what they did with the defensive tackle is they would rush him down the A gap in between the center and the guard here, leaving, and I know this is getting jumbled here, but leaving the B gap wide open for Nico to run through. B gap being between the guard and the tackle. And so watch this. I'll play this again. Sutton's going upfield. Defensive tackle hangs in the A gap. There is no one there for Nico to run right through. It's poor contain, but these things happen when you're rushing 4. But then defensive strategy-wise, when you are not spying and all 4 of those linebackers are in coverage, Nico breaks through and is ultimately able to pick up this 1st down. This kept them on the field, first drive of the game. So much was being made about the onside kick, but right there, Nico's legs showing out. Second play, also a 3rd down. Also, this one's 3rd and 10. It's not going to be Deny Dennis Sutton to the bottom of the screen. It's going to be their other pass rusher. He gets actually caught up on the inside. There's no contain. It allows Nico to sneak out towards the field. And again, he's able to pick up this 1st down. What's the theme? Theme is you have linebackers. They're deep. It's 3rd and long. They're thinking, all right, we're in pass coverage. There's no one keeping their eyes on Nico. Nico's mobility was not part of the game plan, which that's always the trade-off, right? Is if you have a spy, one of these linebackers looking at Nico, that means you have one less dude in coverage. If you don't have a spy, you really count on your rushers to either get home or stay in their gaps, and that's not what Penn State did. Rushing 4, UCLA's offensive line's able to hold up. Nico escapes. And again, he's able to get like 6 yards the second that he like looks skinny and thin and whatnot. He's able to get 6 yards after that first contact. So that's 2 3rd and 10s he's able to pick up with his legs. 3rd one right here. Forget what happens on this one. No, what do you know? Similar story. This one's different though. So this one's in the second half, right? Penn State's all right. How can we adjust? What can we do differently? This time, instead of just rushing four, rather than Penn State saying, hey, we're just going to trust our front four to get home, they rush 6 guys. 4 down linemen and 2 linebackers come as well. The problem is, and Oregon does a phenomenal job of this. Oregon did this versus Drew Aller a week ago, where they will bring 6, but what they'll do is they'll have one of the linebackers that is coming, pause, the second that he gets picked up by the running back, that linebacker will then leak out and be a quasi spy. And the reason that's important here is look at 0 for Penn State. He's going to come, he's going to get stoned right away by UCLA's running back. Here, he's now a non-factor, but now he's a non-factor in the rush, and he's also a non-factor in defending Nico's legs. What I would have loved to have, and again, Oregon does a phenomenal job of this, your linebacker blitzes, all right, running back picks you up, now backtrack back here, knowing that you have a mobile quarterback and knowing that you're giving up a lot of green grass right here, especially with on the back end. Penn State's bringing 6. It's only man coverage on the back end. Again, that B gap wide open for Nico. Denied Dennis Sutton rushing upfield allows Nico to squeak through. What do you know? He doesn't pick up just 10 yards this time. This is the huge chunk play. I forgot which play this was. This is the home run shot. You brought you brought 6. He broke through, got to the second level. Nico's speed, something we probably sleep on. Obviously, Penn State slept on, able to get through. Last one. This time, Penn State's running out of answers. Arguably the number 1 pass rusher in the NFL on a have to have it. This is late in the game. This is the third down where Nico scores a touchdown. It's the play where Rick Neuheisel in the CBS studio is celebrating. But Penn State, you want a sign of a team running out of answers? It's Penn State when they put arguably the best pass rusher in college football in coverage on a third and gotta have it game on the line. I get it. They're trying to do something new. They're trying to use the athleticism of deny Dennis Sutton. But that's how you know your game plan's not working. When you're not able to have arguably the best pass rusher in college football, not have his ears back trying to get the quarterback. Instead, look at Sutton right here. He is spying. I mentioned how Penn State did not have a spy the first 3 times Nico's legs got involved. This time, they did, except he's just kind of in no man's land, right? He's dropping in coverage. He's not really doing anything. You're bringing 4 guys. Nico squeaks out. At that point, it's a foot race. Denied Dennis Sutton is not going to beat Nico to the pylon. That's a wasted guy. That is an offensive coordinator win by Jerry Neuheisel and a defensive coordinator loss, making your best defensive player have 0 impact in a critical down in that ball game. Nico's legs were an absolute factor. Also, and I'll just rip through this, the other thing that I mentioned, it was Nico's legs, and it was also Jerry Neuheisel's play calling. I'll rip through this. This is the very first drive of the game, right? When you love up on, hey, a play caller doing a great job, what does that look like? Is he inventing some groundbreaking new concept? Is he putting in some backup running back that the staff before did not? No, it's nothing crazy like that. But it is utilizing the concepts and the schemes that you have to the best of their ability. And what really jumped out, we're going to look at the 11-play first drive, and I'll rip through it. Jerry Neuheisel, in his very first drive as a play caller, very first time on the headset, you might think, he's going to ease his way into it. He'll just start with some of the basics. On the very first drive, this dude does not use the same formation more than once, with one exception. 11 plays, 11 different formations. You talk about being multiple. You talk about making the defense think. Check this out. Again, this is the very first drive. UCLA going to line up in 3-by-1, running back offset to the left. They also used a motion. They started an empty and motioned the running back to the backfield. Getting Penn State's defensive line thinking. All right, you get a little gash run. Excellent start. 1st and 5. Now you got 2nd and 5. This time, you're starting in 2-by-2. You motion a receiver now to 3-by-1, 1, 2, 3 with a nub side tight end. Nub side is when the tight end's connected. There's no outside receiver out here. Obviously, using motion, using a unique formation, running backs in pistol. All these defenders have to think. All these defenders have to process. Run right there. You bounce out a little bit. All right, you're sitting at 3rd and 1. Successful play call. Right here, now you're in tight bunch. Tight bunch to the right, 12 personnel, 2 tight ends, running back and pistol. Another unique look. Penn State's having to process. Penn State's having to think. This is not, some of these offenses that sit in 2x2 or the same 3x1 formation the whole time. Another gash run. 4th play of the drive. What do you line up in? This time, Jerry Neuheisel, you can't tell it from here. He goes tackle over. This is 3 offensive linemen to the left side. This dude on the right is a tight end. He's also got a tight end in the wing formation here. But again, if you're Penn State, you're having to process all this. I got 3 offensive linemen to the defense's right, offense's left. I got 2 tight ends. I still have to manage 2 receivers out here on the bottom of the screen. But my point is, unique formation, having to process a lot. This is also an offensive coordinator win. I won't get bogged down, but just to not go crazy long with this segment, Penn State brought 2 linebackers to that play, or to that side. Well, you're leaking out a tight end to that very side. If Penn State didn't have 2, or if UCLA didn't have 2 receivers blocking one dude and had 1 receiver blocking this guy and 1 receiver blocking most dangerous between these 2 DBs, this could have been a big play. Penn State got away with this because this is the perfect offensive call versus blitzing linebackers to that side. Instead, it's a catch and it's a nice completion, but Penn State's able to rally. What is this, 5th, 6th play? I'm losing count. You start with your running back, offset right, tight end here, 3 receivers to the left side. No 2 looks the same. Using motion, forcing this Penn State defense to be on their heels. Little RPO, find an easy completion. What do you got next? 7th play of the drive. Now you got bunch formation right. Motion your receiver to 2x2. One of the first times we've seen 2x2. Easy completion. Should have been a catch. It's a drop. Now you got empty formation. Empty formation. First time we've seen empty and then stick with empty during this entire drive. You're getting a point. I'll stop pausing it, but you're getting the point. That's what, the 8th play, 7th, 8th play? We saw this play from Nico before. No 2 formations the same. Not allowing the secondary to tee off. Confusing this defensive line. Now you got tight bunch right with bunch left with 3 receivers. Keeping these defensive ends off balance. 3x1. This is the exception, and that's the touchdown. The first time they ran the same formation twice ultimately ends up being a touchdown. That gives you a flavor for when someone says, oh, how did Jerry Neuheisel make an impact? Oh, what makes him a good play caller? What's he doing unique in terms of with that offense? First play or first drive as a play caller, easily could have gone conservative, could have gone safe, spread them out, allow the guys to play fast. No, he's forcing these guys to know their assignments, get into different personnel groups. And that is phenomenal play calling because you're trusting your guys and using all the weapons that you got.